You have two opponents.
Yes.
What do you think sets you apart from those other two?
There's something that is very important that I want us to take note of. My involvement, my personal interests, and the love of students of the University of Ibadan. I so much love the students of the University of Ibadan that at every point, I would always want to make myself available for their interest.
Do you think things could have been done differently concerning the Adeboye suspension and
What the students executive could have done was to summon a congress to ensure they get students' opinion, get what they need to do, how they need to make the necessary way forward. And I believe that that's the best thing they could have done. But at that point, they failed to utilize the union power and the union bullets.
So are you willing to risk your studentship for these people?
Well,
So it's that time of the year again where students of the University of Ibadan make a decision on who is going to steer the ship of the union forward. And as customary at this point, I've elected to speak to the leading candidates of the upcoming elections on 13th of December. Today, I'm starting with the leader of the diligence movement, Adeboye Temidayo. Welcome to the studio, Adeboye.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. And yes, good day, everyone. It's my pleasure being here.
Yeah, so I want you to introduce yourself to our people, to you, Uites. Just pretend like you don't even know who you are at all, and try to give them a brief detail about it.
All right. So, good day, everyone. So, yes, my name is Adeboye Temidayo, popularly and politically addressed as Deboye, a 300-level student from the Faculty of Arts, European Studies Department. Aside from leadership, I am a chef, I'm an event planner, and also sometimes I do acting when I have the time. And back to leadership, I have been privileged to serve in various capacities on campus. Starting from the departmental level, I served as the public relation officer, moved on to the faculty level, where I served as an honorable member representing the interest of all students of the Faculty of Arts at the Legislative Council. I moved on to the hall where I reside in Nnamdi Azikiwe Hall, where I served as the honorable chief whip of the Zikor Legislative Council, and also the floor representative of A1 constituency. I moved on to the union level where I've been privileged to serve as a committee head in various executive positions, right? From the office of the president to the office of the vice president, to the office of the house secretary, to the office of the assistant general secretary, even to the office of the PRO. And this has given me not just insight, but then understanding on how the activities of the union is being run, and most importantly, the experience that is needed to currently now lead the union as I push for the student union president. And aside from all this, I've also been privileged to be recognized at the Oyo State level, where I was recognized as one of the nominee for the Oyo State Youth Summit Award, organized by the Commissioner of Oyo State's Youth and Sports, and His Excellency Governor Seyi Makinde, where I was nominated under the category of good governance. Currently, I serve at the national level as the special advisor for National Association of University Students to the Vice President Southwest. And I mean, this has shown my activeness, my involvement, and most importantly, my commitment to student welfareism, to student advocacy, and most importantly, to student interest, both at the University of Ibadan and even at the national level as a whole. And aside from office, I mean, I've been privileged to also have initiative that supports student interest, that builds students' academic goal on campus, and that also expand their orientation on how well they need to build themselves and sustain themselves, even outside the four pillars of this university. We started the beginning of the session with a freshers program, to the webinar program, where we had to orientate freshers on how they can balance themselves academically, socially, morally, and even through the leadership aspects. We had the former presidents on board host. We had various faculty leaders. We had the former student union AGS Mujuba. We had the chair of Queen's Jiggy on board also speak to these students to ensure that they have the necessary orientation that's needed for their success as a freshman on campus. Now, we also moved on to June 14, where we had a program especially for females. And the program was themed Shaped for More. It's a She Leads Conference 2025. We had various leaders also on board. We had the president of our Literary Debating Society. We had the president of English Department We also had the presidents of different faculties, the European Studies Department, and even the Archie of Queen's Idia Hall. We had the Archie of Queen's Hall also with us. We also had a law student graduates, Precious, also at the event. Then we're also privileged to have the presidential appointee, Oviri Agbaje. She was appointed by the president of Nigeria. We had her present at the event just to speak to female students to ensure they have the necessary orientation on how they can build their networking spirit, ensure they have the necessary success, both on campus and even outside the university. And we also moved on to expanding our initiative to students with disabilities, which we themed diligence in diversity, right? That was because we noticed and we observed that this set of students has been a little bit left out from activities of the other students on campus, and we specially had a program to ensure inclusiveness and most importantly support items, like we ensure distribution of food and other materials that could ensure they are carried along and they feel the togetherness as a whole, as a union. Aside from that, volunteering, even I was the chairman of the planning and logistics committee for the just concluded Joe World 2025. That's the largest speaking debating society in West Africa, right? So yes, volunteering and different activities as a whole has shown my interest, my commitments to students welfareism, to students involvement. And yes, that's just a brief summary about who Adeboye is and what Adeboye stands for.
That's a rather exhaustive introduction, actually. You are the leader of the diligence movement.
Yes.
What is the diligence movement about? Why should we be diligent?
All right. So yes, I am the leader of the diligence movement, and the diligence movement is simply about students' interest as a whole. And if you bear with me, I mean the meaning of diligence itself as a word, it's an adjective, and it means hard working, showing up, the consistency, even the conscientiousness, and most importantly, the hard working spirit, showing up even at the little things. And this is what we've been through right from my 100 level days, serving as a public relation officer, moving on to the points where I've been recognized both at the national level and even at the Oyo State level. So I mean, this is not just a campaign hashtag, or should I use the word? This is not just a slogan or a word. It's more like a road that we've been through, right from our first intake into the student leadership journey. And that is why we are pushing further to diligently serve the interest of students as the next student union president, to ensure that all students of the University of Ibadan see the major reason why we are pushing under this movement, the diligence movement. And this is the major reason why it even matters the most for students, not because we are the best candidate, but because we've worked the path of preparation and we are the most prepared candidates for this. And that's why we are pushing under the movement, the diligence movement, diligent enough to serve the interest of all students of the University of Ibadan fully and committedly.
To my knowledge, as of today, you have two opponents.
Yes.
I don't know if there are others, but to my own knowledge, there are two. What do you think sets you apart from those other two? Why do you think you are a more preferred option to the other two?
All right. So, I mean, that is a question a whole lot of Jewites have asked previously, even while campaigning and all of that. And yes, it's necessary, we know. I mean, I appreciate and I respect every other aspirant because first, it's not easy taking up a leadership position to sacrifice and serve. But then there's something that is very important that I want us to take note of, which is what three things that differentiates me from other candidates, which is what the experience, number one. And previously when I was introducing myself, I gave a brief summary of who I was, what I've done so far, and my involvement in student welfareism, student advocacy, and most importantly, student development on campus. And the other thing that sets me apart from the other candidates, right, coming to serve as a student union president, is also my involvement, my personal interest, and the love of students of the University of Ibadan. I mean, I so much love the students of the University of Ibadan that at every point, at every little opportunity I get, I would always want to make myself available for their interest and to ensure that I'm always on ground, even when at the little things that matters the most. And I've been privileged to also contact and speak to students themselves, and any call, be it financial assistance or health-wise or anything at all, I've always made myself available. Then the other aspect,
Before the end of this video, I will take you back to the love for this UITs, for the love of this student. But let me just
okay.
proceed for now. Okay.
All right. So yeah, now, what I'm saying is the last thing that sets me apart is majorly the diligent blueprint. And that is where we have every plan installed for student interest. That's where we have the inclusiveness, we have the development, we have the students advancement, and most importantly, student leadership advocacy. And yes, students engagement and entrepreneurship development. So these are the plans we have for student interest, and those are the things that separate me from other candidates. I'm not coming as the best candidate, but I'm coming and I'm pushing myself forward because I've worked the part of diligence, and I'm the most prepared candidate to serve as the student union president.
Some people say you don't have the experience as an executive in the student union. Not executive in other, don't get me wrong, in other levels, another different levels, but in the student union. What do you have to say about that? Do you think it is necessary to have once been an executive in the student union, or what are your thoughts about that?
Well, no, it's not necessary. Okay. And at the other end, me not having experience serving as an executive at the union level, it's not a criteria for picking the next student union president. Because first, I've involved myself at every level of leadership, both at the legislative level, even at the executive level. When I went as far as being the chairman of my departmental club electoral committee, I was the chairman of the electoral committee, and my involvement as an executive majorly has been through the department where I served as public relation officer, and currently serving as the ex-official of the same department, still as an executive. So yes, it does not mean I don't have an executive orientation on how to lead a union forward. But then serving particularly in the union level as an executive is not a criteria. Because why? We've had previous leaders, we've had different leaders. In fact, the current student union president himself has not been privileged to serve initially as one of the executive members, but he's perfectly doing well. And I mean, he's serving the interest of students diligently.
That reminds me, you mentioned the current student union leader, and I want to ask you, are there some things that the current student union is currently doing that you would like to continue on even after their tenure is over, if you are elected?
Well, yes, there are a lot, because I'm this type of leader that I'm fully backed on ensuring sustainability. Because aside from the fact that we are conscious of the new plan agenda, this is what we are bringing, this is the new things we are bringing, we should also ensure that there is the sustainability and continuation of whatever thing the administration or the administration before yours has started, just to ensure that the union is progressive, right? Now, at the other end, yes, they've done several things. First is as regards to the tutorials that always happen. I mean, the current vice president has been doing a lot as regards to ensuring the academic support, the academic welfare of students generally. And I can see that this helps a lot, because they just concluded GS. Freshers are still doing GS. They have GS tomorrow also. Yeah. I mean, it has been helping them a lot, because I get comments like, oh, thank you so much for the tutorial. Thank you so much for the crash classes and all of that. And these are initiatives that we need to continue, because one way or the other, it's still going to definitely help students attain that level of academic support and success at the end of the day. Yeah. Then at the other end, there are different things too. I mean, they are always attending to student interest, the monthly newsletter, and this is just communication from the union to the students majorly. And this means that we need to continue this, because why? This is only the platform we can use to ensure that the students are carried along with activities of the union. And yes, at the other end, it is their involvement with students' interest. They've been trying their very best to ensure they respond to students at all levels. So yes, these are the things that we need to continue as aspirants for the next student union executive.
All right. In my own experience, the student union of UI is a very, very delicate one, in the sense that there's a very, very interesting constant pull and push between the student body and the management. I want to understand, how best do you think you can approach the situation for a better union in the interest of the students?
All right. I mean, that's a very good question, because why? It's not just concerns the aspirants. It's a question that every student of the University of Ibadan would always love to ask. It's something that, in fact, not just this current set of students. Even when I was in 100 level, that question has been something every set of students would always want to ask leaders. The major reason why we are there is to represent their interest. And they are very, very careful to pick set of leaders that would not represent their interest diligently and would compromise their interest. So yes, this is a question that concerns them a whole lot. And as regards to the issue with the students, leaders and the management, the student interest and the management interest. Well, I would love to say this. It seems to the student like that, but the management most of the times are not always at loggerhead with the students, because first, they have the interest of students at heart, their fathers also, their mothers. And yes, there's the student affairs division that ensures the interest of students at all costs. But then, as student leaders, as student representatives, the major reason why we are selected or elected is to speak the voice of students, to stand in for them, to ensure that we represent them at all costs, even when the interest of the management and the students seems to be clashing. We as student leaders are supposed to stand diligently to ensure that we don't compromise the interest of students with the interest of the management. So no matter what, yes, we understand there would always be clash of interest. There would always be issues with the management and the students. The students will always want to request for something that might not immediately get a response for. But there's something we are promising as a presidential aspirant, that we would diligently stand in to represent the interests of students. We will not compromise the interests of students, and we would agitate for the necessary support just to ensure that we speak the student's voice and we ensure they are heard at every point in time.
Do you think things could have been done differently concerning the Aduwo suspension and
Okay, yes. As regards to the Aduwo issues, the 3 students that were victimized, well, there are different patterns, and I would only mention one, which is even the major thing to do, because according to the Constitution, the Congress is the power or house of the union. The Congress is the pillar of the union, and whatever decision the union executive have to even make, they have to take in consideration the students as a whole. And at a situation like this, where we have 3 students victimized, not just because they went against the rule of the management or something, but because they stood their ground to ensure that they speak the student's voice. What the student's representative or the student executive could have done was to have a congress, was to have a meeting, was to summon a congress to ensure they get the students' opinion, to ensure they communicate with the students, get what they need to do, how they need to make the necessary way forward as regards to these three students that were victimized. Because I believe that no matter the ideas of the president, no matter the ideas of other executive, even to down to the SRC members, it's still very important we take in consideration the opinion of the students. What are the students saying? What do they want? How can we stand our voice? How can we raise our voice against this victimization? And I believe that that's the best thing they could have done. But at that point, they failed to utilize the union power and the union bullets at that point.
Are you now promising us that you are going to utilize that bullet you speak of?
Yes, as someone that has not just represent the interests of students at all levels, but has diligently ensured that at every point in time, we've spoken the interest of students. I was at the protest that happened sometimes earlier, late last year, earlier this year, with ABH, the medical school protest and all of that. I was not just part of the protest, I was part of the same set of leaders that mobilized other students to go out to protest and all of that. So I'm not even speaking about the protest now. I'm speaking about we standing up to represent the interest of students. We ensuring that we advocate and we speak the voice of students at every point in time. And yes, bringing it back to the question you asked, which is, are we going to ensure that we utilize this at all costs? Yes, understanding the Constitution so well, I mean, it's very important that we utilize every power of the union. We understand the union, because I believe so well that if we have leaders that first understand the power of the union, then we can as well go on to strike at every point in time without having issues or having to compromise the interest of students.
So I noted your usage of the language of I love you Uites earlier, if you remember. So I'm going to ask you, there's a question that everybody has asked me to ask. And that's the question of, are you willing to risk your studentship for these people? Like, do you love them so much that you would risk your studentship for these people?
Well, that question is something that, yes, even before I came here today, right, I spoke to a couple of students at Faculty of Education. Someone asked that question that, am I willing to sacrifice sacrifice my studentship for their interest? And I said something, I said, yes, this is more than sacrificing my studentship. This is me putting myself at the line to speak the voice of every student. It's not something we are saying we will do. It's something we've done. And getting the experience has proven us to be worthy and to be trusted for this, right? So yes, it's not all time that when we go to sacrifice or we go to serve, we get a disadvantage of our own action, right, as students. I mean, most of the times the management wouldn't get to sanction student or victimized student leaders, because why? They understand we are doing our duties, because the major reason why we have a union at the University of Ibadan is to represent the interest of students, to speak their voice, to foster the interest of its members, even according to the constitution. So yes, I am ready. I'm not just ready, diligently ready to stand in and represent and serve and sacrifice myself for the interest of all students of the University of Ibadan.
Okay, we are going to hold you to that promise, definitely.
Definitely, that is my promise to all.
So, last question before I let you go is the fact that in the first 50 days, your first 50 days in office, there is something I want you to tell us what we can hold you to that I have done by that time. Because there's a reason why I asked this. You know, I know many of your plans are things that are going to take a stretch, a while and everything. But I want to know, what are the immediate ones that within 50 days, people can point out that, oh, has he done that? And we can say, yes, he has done that.
So yes, they are definitely at the first they will hit the ground running, and would ensure that we have proper alignment of what we are going to do. In fact, not just for 50 days, 100 days, and how it used to go, but then every day we have a target, we have a to-do list for the interest of students. And yes, for the first 50 days, definitely after the inauguration and all of that, would ensure that we have proper communication with every stakeholders. That's from the faculty presidents to the departmental presidents to all chairpersons, and even to the necessary stakeholders at the university level, the management, just to ensure we have the necessary relationship, the necessary cohesiveness to foster the interest of students for that session. And moving on, we also ensure we have the amalgamation of every executive plans, just to ensure we have a chart, we have a work plan that we can easily push out to all students of the University of Ibadan, so they can keep the track of our activities. They can hold us even accountable for our promises and for our activities for the whole session. So, and aside from that, we ensure, yes, we welcome the students, newly admitted students of the University of Ibadan. We have the freshers welcome, and we ensure every other orientation and every other support system comes in place. Then the other thing we'll do, that is part of the initiative I've been bringing up, which is the off-campus link, which is something would immediately kickstart, because why? This is a platform where we want to incorporate and ensure we actively involve off-campus students in the activities of the union, just to ensure they are not just carried along, but they are also part of the activities that goes on campus, even when they are not staying on campus.
Oh, that's interesting, because I'm an off-campus student.
That initiative is for you then.
Okay, so I want you to look at Uites and tell them, like, as a parting gift, exactly why they should vote for you on the 13th and what they should consider when they are going to the polls on that very day.
Greatest Uites, ever diligent Uites. This is a promise for all students of the University of Ibadan, is to speak the voice and to represent their interest of all students of the University of Ibadan at all points. Yes, we are at the peak, or we are at the point of picking a new set of leader, new set of representative, and we have to be careful, not just careful, we have to be diligent with the choice of leaders we pick, because this is the point where we need a progressive union. And according to the movement, the diligence movement, the watchword of our movement is the revival or reviving the spirit of unity through diligence. This is the point where we have to stand in togetherness, collaboration, cooperation, just to ensure we move our union forward. The diligence movement is promising that we are going to have a union that works in the best interest of students, for all students, and in collaboration with all students of the University of Ibadan. This is our diligence promise to ensure development, inclusiveness, leadership and student advocacy, entrepreneurship, transparency, and most importantly, accountability. This is the point where we have to come out. We have to stand in diligence. We have to ensure we allow our votes speak our voice. We have to ensure that come December 13, we vote diligently for a leader that will speak our voice, for a leader that will stand and represent our interests, for a leader that's not just promising, but has walked the path of preparation, that has walked the path of diligence to ensure that we have consistently spoken the voice of students. We have consistently representing the voice of students from every level of leadership on campus. And I mean, this is the point where we have to stand diligently to ensure we come out come December 13th, 2025, to ensure our vote does not just count for any candidate, but for the diligence movement, for a diligent person, for a diligent president that is ready to actively ensure that our voices, our interests matters coming administration. This is my promise to all students of the University of Ibadan. Greatest Uites, ever diligent Uites, ever vibrant Uites, ever deliberate Uites. This is Adeboye Temidayo, popularly and politically addressed as Deboye, the presidential candidate for the student union election, the convener of the diligence movement. Thank you so much, Greatest Uites.
It's really nice to hear from you, Deboye.
Thank you so much, Manuel.
So this is the first part of, it's a series of we talking to the candidates in the upcoming election. I promise you, consequently, you are going to meet other presidential candidates in subsequent videos.